Hey guys, I am currently trying to make the video of my postpartum. I kind of wanted to just hop on because I just want to be real with you guys. So I printed out calendars so I can kind of go through each day and put what happened, so I'm able to talk about it more clearly and not just ramble. Just preparing for the video of postpartum, but it's just really hard to do. I'm still working through a lot. It's the worst feeling in the world when you miss a whole entire week of your baby's life because of your mental illness and because the people around you didn't really know how to help you. I look at pictures of her when she was so tiny and it breaks my heart that I wasn't there. I see like my mom holding her and everyone else that was helping holding her. Rosalie, I'm so thankful that they were there for me to be Arya's mom when I couldn't be his mom, and Nathan was Arya's mom for that time, you know? He had to be the mom and the dad when I was sick. I don't know if I could make this video. I had such horrible anxiety that I wasn't sleeping. I guess maybe this is the video, me coming on here and being raw about. So basically, I had Arya. We went home. I was feeling so shaky. I don't know if other people have felt like that after giving birth, but I felt extremely weak in my own body, and I didn't know how I was going to take care of my daughter because I was so shaky that I was feeling like I was going to faint every second that I was up, standing. And they kept checking me when I was in the hospital. They kept checking my blood pressure. They kept checking my heart rate. They kept checking my vitals, you know, making sure that I was okay. But no matter what, it all came out clear. And every time I got up to walk, I was like stumbling. Like I felt like I was going to pass out. And they just said that that was normal. That was normal for just having a baby. You know what? If you feel that your situation isn't normal and you feel that there's something is truly wrong with you, you have the right to go to the hospital and be heard. And that was the issue, is I wasn't being heard anywhere. No matter where I went, no matter who I spoke to, I wasn't being heard. And I went to labor and delivery first because I had just given birth to her a day before, and we went out to her first appointment, and I was feeling so strongly that I was going to pass out when I was walking that it terrified me, that when I got home I was trying to understand what was going on with me. You know, I didn't know what the heck was happening to me, and it seemed like no one cared, because when I was saying that in labor and delivery after having my child, nobody was hearing me. And basically, I didn't feel prepared enough to go home in that state, you know. And I asked them to check my iron. I asked them to check anything to see what was wrong with me, and they said it was fine. So after her appointment, and I saw how weak I was and feeling like I was gonna pass out, that I couldn't even go to the bathroom by myself. Like, I needed people to help me in the shower because I needed to go to the ER because it doesn't feel right. I went to the hospital. I went to labor and delivery. They checked all my vitals. They checked everything, and it was perfectly fine. I was like slightly low on potassium, and that was all. They thought that it was anxiety and basically postpartum anxiety and depression. And that anxiety was causing my body to have all these issues. At that point, I didn't know anxiety could cause you to not have any power in your body. I didn't know that anxiety could make you completely weak in the legs, like you were paralyzed. I didn't know that it made you see different things, experience different things, taste differently. I didn't know anxiety could cause so many issues that it does. And I didn't know how real it was, because I've always suffered from anxiety. I've had social anxiety. I've known I've had social anxiety. I get paranoid very easily. I'm afraid of going out all by myself, which now I'm not. Now that I'm a mother, it's definitely changed. But I've known that I've had some sort of anxiety, but it was just like, I'm a little scared of going out by myself. I maybe did have panic attacks, but in retrospect, they might have been panic attacks. I just never saw them as panic attacks until I had an actual extreme panic attack a few days after giving birth. So I went to the hospital. They said that it could possibly be anxiety. So they wanted to put me on antidepressants and anxiety medication. And I was just not really believing it. I thought that my body was just really weak from giving birth and something was wrong with me. Maybe I lost too much blood. Maybe I just needed muscle relaxant because my body was all tweaked and I was twitching in my sleep. I was like, well, I've had twitching before. Can I try muscle relaxants, because I feel like that's really going to help me? And they gave me one, but they didn't prescribe me any. And they prescribed me the anxiety and antidepressants. And so we went home, and I was feeling better. But the only thing is, I still wasn't feeling good when I was walking around. I felt fine when I was in bed for the most part with my daughter. But I started getting so anxious that I couldn't even hold her when I was breastfeeding. It felt like I was going to drop her at any second. When she was choking, I felt like I couldn't hold her up. My anxiety was so high that I couldn't even sleep when my daughter was allowing me to sleep. She was letting me sleep for 4 hours at a time. She was allowing me to get that rest that I needed, but I couldn't. My mind would not shut off. And it was going full speed, that I had to basically text everyone that I needed to get these things done, or I needed to get these things for my daughter before I forgot, because my anxiety was so high that I was forgetting everything. And my mind was not protecting me. My mind was basically just remembering what was most important, which was usually just feeding Arya. And that's all I could fit in my brain at that point, because my anxieties were so just blurring my vision, blurring my mind. So at that point, I knew something was wrong. Like, I don't think it's normal to have people help you shower, to have people help you walk to the bathroom, to have people feed you and basically do everything for you. Like, I don't know if anyone else has experience. Feel free to message me, because I just want to know what normal is. I don't think that what I experienced was normal, and I got medication, but it just wasn't working fast enough. I was starting to develop psychosis because I was already, since she was born, I wasn't getting sleep, but I hadn't been getting sleep for months before that because I was so uncomfortable. I had so many different symptoms of pregnancy. I was so uncomfortable. I wasn't sleeping. Or any person that hasn't slept in a few days can develop psychosis. But I started developing psychosis, which is basically what happened with me. Was I was having manic episodes with but I felt on a high for sure, and then I would have very extreme lows where I had extreme mom guilt, missing time with my baby because I was so sick that I couldn't really spend time with her. I had to sleep whenever I wasn't feeding her. So basically the only relationship I had with her was breastfeeding. And it just felt like I was missing so much. So at that point, it came to a point where I had an extreme panic attack, the biggest panic attack I've ever had in my entire life, where I was having homicidal thoughts. And that's terrifying, you know, when your mind is screwing with you, when your mind is playing games with you, when you're terrified of hurting the people you love most in the world. I never thankfully had thoughts of hurting my daughter, not once. But I had thoughts of hurting my husband. I had thoughts of hurting my mother-in-law, of hurting my mom, you know. The mind is such a powerful thing. And when your mind is sick, like, how do people not believe in mental health? How do people not believe that mental health is such a serious thing when your mind can play tricks on you and make you want to murder the people you love the most? That's not okay. And hopefully this is okay to say over the internet. But yeah, I was having suicidal thoughts. I've never wanted to kill myself. I never have attempted it. I've never wanted to do it. And I was having thoughts of killing myself. And I was so terrified that I was having to have my mother and my husband sleep with me because I was so scared of my own thoughts. So scared that I was actually going to commit it because I had no control over my mind at that point. So once it got to an extreme point of when I had that panic attack and when I had homicidal thoughts for the very first time in my entire life, because of mental illness, I knew I couldn't do it anymore. I just kept having panic attacks over and over again after having that panic attack. And I was scared I was going to hurt my husband, so I sent him away to just let me have some space, to let me breathe so I wouldn't hurt him. And I had taken some muscle relaxant that they gave me, and so I started falling asleep. And I was really scared because I was home alone with Arya, obviously. I did call my husband at that point, and I put Arya in a safe space. I put her on her bassinet, and I just lay down on my bed and tried to get, like, if I was going to fall asleep, I was going to try to get as much sleep as I could because I wasn't getting any, and I wasn't able to shut off my mind to do so, and I was finally falling asleep because of the muscle relaxant. So I laid on the bed. I called my sister, and I called a lot of people, actually. Some people didn't answer, some people answered, and made me feel worse about the situation that I was in. And some people answered, which my sister did, and she answered, and she calmed me. She helped me get through things. She helped me realize that breastfeeding was a huge stress that I was going through, that maybe I should pump, and that would relax me a little bit, that would allow me to sleep a little bit more. So we figured that out, and we decided to get a pump as soon as possible so that I would be able to get sleep. So I could pump some, and my husband could feed her, and I could sleep. So that was something that we figured out together, which I'm so thankful for her, for being there, for answering, for being the one person in the whole world to answer and be my strength when I couldn't be strong. So I called my husband, and he came home, and we figured out to get a breast pump, and we decided that we needed to go into the doctors. My midwife said that I should go in just because it was getting to a very dangerous situation. So my husband came home and we started packing and getting ready to go so we could go in and see a psychiatrist so I could get on stronger medication, because the medication I was on wasn't working fast enough and it wasn't strong enough for my situation. So we went in and I was on the phone with my midwife the whole time so that I wouldn't have a panic attack, because I was just getting triggered constantly and I was getting stuck in a loop, and it was using all my energy to talk to anyone because I was having such horrible memory loss that every word that came out of my mouth and anytime I tried to speak, it was like took all of my energy from me. So I was talking to my midwife on the phone the whole time to try to keep myself calm, to remember what I need to say, to remember that the reason why I'm doing this is for my daughter. The reason why I am fighting right now to stay alive is for my daughter. The second that I got off the phone with her, I started having a panic attack with my husband and I sent him out of the room. And because I had a panic attack while he was with me and he kind of triggered me, the nurses wouldn't allow my husband back into the room with me. And I was freaking out. I have nobody else to be on my side. I have nobody else in the world, period, other than my husband at that point. And they weren't allowing him back in the room with me when I really needed someone to be there with me. They sent my husband away and I ended up in the orange room, which is basically the place where people with very severe mental illness go. And it's a room where there's nothing else in it other than a metal bed and like a steel door. And they sent me in there supposedly because they had too many people in the ER and it was all full, and so they had to put me somewhere else. And so they put me in the orange room, which was terrifying. It was a terrifying experience. I thought that I was going to be locked up in there for who knows how long. Then finally my husband came back and he got me, and he got them to move me because it wasn't right for me to be back there. It was just a very terrifying experience. And my husband got me, we went back to the ER and we stayed there, I think, for a few days, trying to get me into a psych ward so that I could get my hormones balanced enough to be safe to be released and to be around my family. Then I was in a psych ward for a whole week, and there was just 2 visiting times, so I got to see my baby for of 2 hours during the day. I'm glad I was at least able to see her that much, but I don't know if you've been a new mom before and have felt that huge love that you feel for your babies and then been separated from them. It's the most painful thing that you could ever go through. And I couldn't even breastfeed her when she came because, well, first of all, some of the medications I was on, I wasn't allowed to breastfeed her. But even if I wanted to breastfeed her, I wouldn't allow myself to because I didn't want to allow myself to be close to her because I was so sick that I didn't want to get connected to her, because it was just like, then she was ripped out of my arms